Hi, Peter Higgins, Purdys Chocolatier, chocolate scientist and president here in Cote d'Ivoire. And we're at the Barry Callebaut Cocoa Center for Excellence, where farmers get trained in best practices to help increase the yields in their farms. And I'm standing beside a cocoa tree that's been planted about 2 years ago, and it's used to help farmers understand pruning. There's two stages of pruning. One is how a tree should be pruned for the first 2 years to create the proper shape and form of the tree to allow for future growth. And then the second stage, after about 2 years, the farmer is then shown how to prune the tree to create maximum growth of the fruit of the cocoa pods and the maximum amount of flowers that can then form into pods. So again, the pruning is such an important part to build yield in the farm and to build farmer livelihood. Hi, here I am in Cote d'Ivoire, and we're trying to prune the top of the tree right to the crown. So the crown is about 1.5 meters off the ground, and after we prune it very close to the stem, compostable material gets placed around the base of the tree to help nourish the tree. What we're seeing here is a practice that is shown to the farmers on how to plant new cocoa trees. And so you can see a small cocoa tree that's just been grown here, and what they're showing here is to use palm fronds to cover the plant for the first about 4 or 5 months, and then after about 4 or 5 months slowly removing the palm shading to allow the plant to get used to some sunlight and to adapt to full sunlight or sunlight that would be in the field, the farmer's field. So these trees are about 4 or 5 months old and just about be ready to be planted. We're showing an example of the best practice of planting a cocoa tree. And so what's happened here is a hole 40 centimeters deep was dug. The fertile soil from the first 20 centimeters was actually placed back down in first. So the bottom of the hole is the most fertile soil, and now we're filling the top again, and then taking the trees and putting them in the hole. Next step is we're going to dig one small hole, the depth of the bag, which is about 15 centimeters. You can see that's dug out, and this is the nice fertile soil that's at the bottom. And then the next step is we'll place the cocoa tree into this hole. We're removing the plastic bag from the bottom and taking it around the top. Very important to show the farmers the best practices for planting new cocoa trees. And you can see the root development there already, and it gets placed very gently into the hole. And that is the practice of planting the cocoa tree. And now, so this cocoa tree that's about 5 months old has now been planted, and in 3 years we're ready to harvest the cocoa pod because it's been grown properly, and the best practices in growing from a seedling to planting to now the pruning. In 3 years we'll have a very plentiful harvest on this cocoa tree. And I'm going to show you an example in this plot of the benefit of complementary crops that they're trying to educate some of the Cote d'Ivoire farmers with. And this plant here, if you can guess what this is coffee. And so this coffee is planted interspaced with cocoa in this plot to show the benefits, because the coffee harvest season is about from early February for about 3 months, and cocoa the harvest season ends in January. So they're very complementary. After the cocoa harvest is finished, then the coffee harvest can provide income for the farmer. And so I'll show you an example. We've got the coffee planted, and right over here nearby is the cocoa tree. So you've got rows of cocoa tree and rows of coffee trees. So provides a real balanced income for the farmer. So this is another experiment teaching the value of complementary crops. In this example here, the cocoa tree, which you can see right here, is planted much closer to the banana tree. And you can see the cocoa tree, it's only 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters away from the base of the banana tree. What this is showing is the value of more shade, and also the proximity to the banana tree will provide more moisture, greater growth, and better yield for the cocoa tree. So another example of sharing best practices for complementary crops. This is another technique that's used to help water the tree in a dry season. Take the outside of, you see the water that's inside the banana husk, and that gets placed around the base of the cocoa tree, and then it will maintain the moisture content during the dry season. So it's a great example of complementary crops working together. There's the banana tree that is helping provide the moisture for the cocoa tree in the dry season.